So welcome, Aaron Jackson. Congratulations on being our Engaging Father of the Month for February 2021.
Thank you.
We've been watching you, and we know the work that you've done. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Aaron Jackson. I'm the 50-year-old father of a 26-year-old daughter. As well, I have two grandchildren, two grandsons, an 8-year-old, and one will be 2 in the next week. And I'm also expecting a granddaughter that'll be here at some point in August of 2021. So
Congratulations.
I'm elated about that. Thank you.
So, tell us how is it being a grandfather?
Being a grandfather, I can correct a lot of the things that I may have felt like I didn't do quite right being a parent, but grandchildren are a joy, I'm not saying that I was fully anticipating the joy that I got out of being a grandfather initially, because it was a shock knowing that my daughter was about to be a parent like I was. She's still with her father. She's still with her kid's father. They're still together. They make a beautiful unit. I really enjoy that I add to what it is that they have. And with my grandsons, he just brings out a different in me. It's totally different being a grandfather than being a father. Totally different. And I really appreciate it and enjoy it. And I'm glad that I've been able to live to see this.
That's a blessing. Truly is. Truly is. So you were with the Engaging Fathers Task Force when it first began, like 4 years ago, when it was just, it was a parenting program for fathers, nurturing fathers, and one big once a year event at schools called Dads Take Your Child to School Day. Yes. And I know you've been involved in a couple of those. So tell us what that was like.
That was a great experience. In my capacity of being a family support specialist, I was at School 17 when I first did that Fathers Bring Your Kids to School Day. And it was a joy to see so many African-American men bring their children into the school, seen as though I was pretty much the only African-American staff person in the building, male figure in the building, outside of the janitor that was in the building as well. To see African-American men bringing their children to school in such massive numbers, it was a wonderful thing for the principal at the time, which was Mrs. Karen. She truly enjoyed that. And then when Mrs. Mariana came aboard, we had it the following year. And it was even more fathers. So to even have that engagement of the fathers bringing their children into the schools, having breakfast with them, me giving a slight presentation to just let them know their importance, having them meet the teachers of their children, it was a great experience. I hope that the schools continue to have that as well.
Hopefully when we come out of this pandemic, we'll be able to do some more of that in-person kind of presentation and opportunities for fathers.
Yes.
So since then, since that happened in 2016, 2017, 18, and 19, so many other things have been added on.
Yes.
I'm not sure what you've seen, but we now have financial planning for dads.
That's
right?
good.
So that they can be better stewards of their income for their families, right, and impact them. We have mentoring.
Yes.
Right, which is also something I wanted to talk to you about, because you do some mentoring for college-age students, which is great. So, what are the kinds of things you're seeing in the community that things that we might be able to add from your perspective as a family support specialist?
In mentoring the young men that I've worked with outside of Say Yes, just giving them a better understanding that in being a father and how important it is. When you think about parenting, I hate to say it, it's always the mom. It's always the mom that's at the top of the food chain concerning the parenting. Dads play a very important role as well. And when you share that with the young men and let them know about the role that they play in their child's life, you have to understand what's most important is what I tell the young men is that in order for a young man to be a man, he has to see a man. And that has to be you as a dad. The very first man that a young girl loves is her father. So in being in that role and knowing how important that role is, you have to make sure that you play that role. You do that and you know that this kid is watching you. Your son is watching you. Your daughter is watching you. So a lot of the young men that I've worked with, they've gone on to be pretty good fathers. I can't say we're all perfect. We all make some mistakes. We've all done some things. I've made some as well. But the young men, when you make those points, those significant points to them and let them know how important it is in being a dad, I think it makes a pretty well-rounded dad out in the community that we live in these days.
So you point out some key things. What, in your opinion, what are those things that a father should be modeling for their son or their daughter? So in talking about daughters, you know, it's who little girls first look up to and love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Daddy. What about for the sons? And just in general, what are some of your ideas around, or the things that we know, you know, given your work in preventive, that really would make impacts?
First and foremost, I would say it would be hard work. Hard work. Putting. My daughter has watched me go from a first-time parent, and by the way, I just had a conversation with her the other day where I apologized to her for mistakes that I may have made in being a dad, but I also explained to her that I was a first-time father. This is not anything that I did before you. And she may make some mistakes with her kids as well, but you're a first-time parent. You're learning from me. You're learning as you go. I think that first and foremost with any parent is the hard work that you put in. It's the love and the care and the guidance and the focus and the structure and all of the things that make you you. I mean, Eric, the things that make you you. Your kids watch those things. Your kids may watch you fail, but they watch you get back up. So I feel like first and foremost, the most important is just the stance that you have in their life, your presence. And if the other parent isn't around, I said what's important as well is maximizing your presence so as to minimize their absence, because a lot of kids in our community only have one parent. And if that parent understands that role, that you have to maximize your presence so as to minimize the other person's absence, it really helps in the development of children these days.
That's really deep. I almost feel like we're getting philosophical, but
this is serious.
That is very true.
Yes.
That is very true. So we know that when fathers are involved, really involved, it's not just education, right? So you're in preventive. Talk to us about what are the other areas that fathers should be much more involved in.
It's not just sports. It's just explaining to the young men how they should treat other young men, explaining to young men how they should treat young women, explaining to young men. When I talk with the young men, I talk to them about, I call it the hygiene thing, about keeping yourself clean, keeping yourself up, the upkeep of you as a young man, and those things that are very important. A lot of times you have dads that are in the community in which I live. Sports is a very big thing. Sports, basketball, football, but there are so many other things that young men can be involved in, whether it be prosecutors, whether it be lawyers, whether it be judges, whether it be family support specialists. And as I state, in order to be a man, you have to see a man. So in that presentation, you know that others are watching. So it's very important. It's a vast array of things. I can't cover them all, and I'm sure I forgot quite a few of them, but those are some of the things that are very important.
Absolutely. I think you're right. I think a lot of fathers are more easily attracted, or they'll gravitate more to sports. But there's so much more, right?
Yes.
Education, medical care, mental health.
Yes, it is.
Socio-emotional health.
Yes, it is.
All those things are important. Right?
Yes, it is.
But I just wanted to go back to what you said earlier. Being a grandfather is very different than being a father.
Totally different. I could give my grandson a chocolate bar and send him home. There was a time where that wasn't happening with my daughter. She was right there on the scene. But being a grandparent, you just get a chance to like do it all over again. You get a chance to now fully explain something that you may have been explaining to your kid. You were really explaining it to yourself too. With the grandkids, you know for a fact that this is true. See, that first-time parent thing, we make a lot of mistakes.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes there are some grandparents who make some mistakes, and I'm sure I will. I'm not perfect, but I know with my grandsons, I can shape and mold them and give them things that I may have missed with my daughter. But I enjoy being a grandfather, especially the two grandsons, especially after having lost two brothers in my own personal life, and now expecting a granddaughter. To have that now put in. I just explained to my daughter as well in that conversation that as I'm getting older, the energy that my first grandson got, the second one is getting a little bit less. The granddaughter is not going to need any of the energy that those two had. I may just be able to sit back and just talk with her and give her a lot of like philosophical things and better understandings of the world in which we live. But the grandsons, they wanted to run me to death. I had to always stay in shape. I had to always make sure I worked out, seriously, because that's serious business. Grandkids are serious business.
You know, that's another valid point. Fathers need to take care of their health. Right?
Yes, yes,
You want to be around for,
Yes.
you know, for your children and be your best possible self.
yes.
You've got to take care of yourself.
You do. And at 40, you have to check on the prostate. And at 50, you have to get the colonoscopy. And if you have grandkids, you want to make sure that all of those things, I know, seriously, are in order, because my life
Male
is
health.
not mine right now. It is mine, but it's for them. It's for them. My whole existence is wrapped around my grandchildren and my daughter. Like, seriously, I can honestly say that. It's wrapped around them.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So listen, as we wrap up, why don't you give me a nugget or two, something that you would say to a young father just starting out, like he's petrified, doesn't know what to expect. What would you say to kind of, you know, give him a little bit of perspective and encouragement?
I would say this. Don't ever abandon anything that you create. That's first and foremost. Don't ever abandon anything that you ever create. And if you created it, it's your job to inject what it is you have into it. Be there for it, son or daughter. We don't always have the perfect families. Me and my daughter's mother, we broke up very early on. But I've always been a stable situation in my daughter's life. And for any young man that's out there that has a child or has a child that's on the way, just always make sure that you know what it is that you need to be in that child's life and be the best that you can be in that area.
Well said. Well said.
No problem.
I want to end on that last, your quote. Remind me again, maximizing
You
your
have to
presence.
maximize your presence in your child's life so as to minimize the other person's absence.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Not a problem.
Thank you for that, Aaron.
Thank you as well for having me. I appreciate you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.